I think part of the issue most people have with it is that it's only going to affect 1/3 of the people.
First time.
Yes.
That two-thirds of the public is not gonna be
Okay.
affected.
We will call the Commissioners' meeting on October 17th, Tuesday, October 7th, 2017 to order. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, short prayer. Please join me, bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us today, making the decisions that are best for those we represent. We ask in a special way that you watch over those who are defending our freedoms and their families. We ask this through your Son. Amen. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Stacy.
Here.
Okay. I will accept the motion to approve the digital audio video recording of our previous board session held Tuesday, October 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. They will stand approved as submitted. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Just the couple I sent you the other day, just to at least bring up in topic, airport, the auditor's request. We got Justice Center, I gotta talk about the AV bids and then the furniture, and a reminder on scheduling, we have an EOC training tomorrow.
I'll just give a little background on this historic tax credits that we have here. I just got it, late entry. Okay, so let us begin with the Justice Center. Your portion of it is, go ahead.
Couple things, Silling has given me the bid packet for the AV equipment that's ready to be bid out. He asked us to run this through our bidding process just so we can get more locals involved, because he's had a lot of locals actually contact him directly, and he doesn't want to leave anybody out. So he asked if we would want to run it through our process, and I said we didn't care, that would work for us. So I do have a resolution I can read with the rest of them, setting the time and date for those bids. I think we're ready for that. They've got everything done for me, so all we got to do is advertise and get the bids in.
Are these each bid on a specific item for the,
Whole package.
It's the whole package.
that's the whole package, okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep. So I can read that one, we read the rest of them. Just an update on the furniture. They had received, they sent out 7 packets to different vendors for the furniture. We received 4 bids back. We had Capital Business, $275,580.02, APG office furnishings for $253,813.27, Continental office furniture out of Columbus for $235,313.62, and then Friends for $228,679.92. I met with Silling last week to discuss the bids, to go over the bids, and our recommendation is Continental Office, just because the lowest bidder had done some substitutions, so that we didn't think were quite what they were looking for. So I think I sent you a copy of the bids so you could see those, so we could have some discussion. But that was Silling's recommendation. And, if you guys are okay
And the
with
justices and their staff have been involved in
Yes.
this all the way through.
All the way
And they're
through.
satisfied with the quality
it. Yes.
and
Yep.
the distribution of whatever,
Yep.
how they're spending. Are they both buying the same equipment for the same floors?
All but second floor. The other floors you'd authorize to do the built-ins.
Yeah.
So that's a separate quote that we had already talked about. So that doesn't include it in these bids. second floor did the cubicles. They liked those, they thought they looked nice, so they went ahead, so, whichever company will break down the cost for me so I can give it to the city so they know, exactly what their number would be. I know, Jenny, Judge Rep's clerk has been wanting them because the city's a little, they do their budgets a little sooner than we do, so I know they've been asking, so. If that's something that you're okay with, we can do the letter accepting that and get them to kind of
Make a
move
motion
forward.
that we accept the bid as recommended by Silling and, is that Continental?
Continental, yeah.
Second.
And the dollar amount, two,
235, 313.64.
okay.
Okay,
Make that motion?
we have a motion and a second, roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes. Okay, anything else on Justice Center, Commissioner Stacy, you'd like to bring us up to date on?
Just obviously work progresses. We have, the leadership team meeting is next Thursday. I will be gone. I don't know if either of you are able to be there, because I know sometimes we're all there, sometimes a couple of us, but just I know I'm out of town. But it is next Thursday noon, Public Safety Building. Be the end of October already.
That's the 26th?
Six.
Yeah, I'll be back, yes, good. Okay, airport,
Airport. Sheet.
I do this in alphabetical order, airport, auditor, story.
Brad was up Thursday of last week. Before he left, he made Tanya aware that there was apparently a pipe, drainage pipe that was busted sometime last year. He was thinking it was during the move of the house, but can't prove that, we don't know that. He had tried to get this scheduled earlier in the year. They got out there last week. It's a $9,000 fix. I do not have the details of that one, but he also brought me a quote to have it. He would like to have it completely repaired, taken apart. It says replacement of 500 foot of 18-inch drainage pipe. I think I sent you the quote yesterday. We did contact insurance just to see if they would cover it, and they said that drainage tile is not covered. But he's asking, I don't have money in place for the $9,000, and I wasn't expecting, obviously, another $16,000 on top of that. So I didn't know if you want him to come in and explain it better. He had just given this to Tanya before he left. I didn't know if he mentioned it to you.
In the past, how have we assigned one commissioner to be the contact, or has Brad worked with our facilities person? I don't know how it's worked in the past.
All of the above.
Oh, well, and then that begs the question: how do we want it?
Yeah, how should it be?
How do we?
Yes.
What's the best way?
I think it's a
for it?
great question, because.
I don't doubt that we needed to fix this or whatever, but I just, from a communication standpoint, how do we get on the front end of that?
Right.
It'd probably help him too if we designated,
sure.
said,
Yeah, what-
listen, this is our, yeah.
Mike, do you have any thoughts on that?
He
I-
should call us. I mean, he should at least call Tanya or call me and at least give us a heads up, especially if it's a repair like this.
Yeah, I think that it's, the meeting that we had the other day was good for all of us to be there to get updated on a strategic basis, but yeah, I believe that, as with everything else, one point of contact would be much better. So, why don't we have that discussion amongst ourselves here or somewhere along the way and decide who best that should be.
Do a volunteer.
What? Welcome.
No, I mean, we've all,
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
we've all worked with Brad, it's an issue, it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
time and helping, like you said, help.
Sure,
And I'm not even
We
sure
have
that
line
it's a
of
commissioner. I
communications.
mean, it might be John, or it might be Tanya, or it
Yeah,
might be
sure.
Stacy. I'm open. I just feel
Yeah, I
like
think- well, I
at the
think
front
that-
end, it's like,
yeah.
hey, I've got this issue, this is what I need, and we can get into the meeting.
I mean, his contact definitely is Tanya at this point in time, but, on the initial side of things. But I do believe there needs to be a specific commissioner appointed.
And I don't, it doesn't matter to me, I wouldn't mind doing it, or like I said, if somebody else wants to do
Let's-
it.
let's-
I just think that would help, I know, to keep on top of all that stuff too. I mean, I know you cover your SIDEC board, and I do Fostoria, and you've got your point assignments, and that's best for one person to bring back the information than all of us trying to keep up with it, and there's a lot out there to keep.
Why don't we put that in the reorganization conversation and then.
Good idea.
That's a good idea.
Good idea.
Hey, is there a separate airport board? Am I missing something?
No, there isn't. That's what I kind of, my point was there, is that we have board assignments, but that one is just kind of out there, and whomever's,
And that's what we got to be
Happens to
careful
catch.
sending one commissioner to, because you're making decisions and you're making financial commitments, so that's why that has always been not on our organization list, because one commissioner can't make those decisions.
but just as a point of contact, as a
And that's
liaison
different, but you're
kind of a
making
thing.
an appointment you want to add it to our list, and we've always, just like, we don't make an appointment for the judges to have one commissioner or anything like that, because not one commissioner can make that decision, and if we have one commissioner always,
Did
just
there-
history, not that it can't be done, but
There used to be an airport advisory board way back in the day.
not since I have been.
That's, okay, I was
I don't
thinking
know.
that Kenny that was telling me
That's been a
something
long
about.
time too, so.
What?
It's been
It's been
a
a
long
long
time.
time.
Almost 12 years.
Okay.
But I think we can have that conversation at that point.
Okay.
It just, if
Yeah,
it
maybe
can
it's-
make us better, if not, we can have quarterly updates or whatever, but in an emergency situation or repair,
Yeah, you're absolutely.
how do we
right.
make that better? How do we not be surprised?
Yeah. And I don't know your thoughts. I mean, obviously, we needed to fix it, and he's gotten it fixed, so once we get the numbers from him, he said about 9,000. But I don't know if you want any more description on the repair
On the permanent
side.
fix, if it's an additional 16, yeah, we need to know exactly what that is.
Okay, because
And
I'm thinking if it's fixed, but I don't know, I'm not
And-
somebody
and-
that does tile, so maybe 9,000 is a good deal just to get it fixed temporarily. Like I
And
said, I don't
John
have,
and one of us should go out and look at whatever it is
Okay.
if we're gonna spend $16,000.
Well, on an emergency basis, basically, he had to fix what was there.
mm-hmm.
Okay, and he paid that out of pocket.
Well, he's asking us to.
You're asking us to pay for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, auditor.
Auditor, she called me afternoon yesterday and said that her 17-year-old shredder has finally died, and she can't get nobody can fix it anymore, she can't find parts for it. I think she said the original cost of that 17 years ago was about $3,200. She is requesting the assistance from the general fund. She's trying to get more concrete quotes, but anywhere between $3,000 to $6,000 for a replacement. She's asking $3,000 for the general fund, and she would pay for the rest out of her real estate fund.
Well, we're all in favor of people shredding documents.
And I appreciate that she wants to fund part of the expense.
Under what context are we in favor of people shredding?
Only when they're evidence or, no.
Everything in line with the records retention.
Right, exactly.
There we go, there's that.
Yeah, okay, so do we have a resolution today to
No,
approve?
but
that?
I can get that prepared for next week. if that's
Okay, yeah, I think that's necessary.
And we can wait until she has firm numbers. But we're in, I mean, I would make a motion that we're in for 3. If it's, something else, we'll do it.
I'll prepare it for next week. She should have numbers by then.
Okay.
All right. The historic tax credit that I have in front of me is, it's been brought to my attention that as part of the tax plan from a federal standpoint, they're going to eliminate historic tax credits. I just wanted to make this board aware of what that's meant for Seneca County and for the state of Ohio. In the past 30 years, there's been about 1,900 projects completed for a total of about $4 billion in Ohio. Now, going to Tiffin, we have had Heidelberg College involved in a number of historic tax credits. We have been named the Main Street Community, and all the facade improvements have been part of that grant. Heidelberg is seeking some more tax credits. As you probably know, there has been some significant light down in the Frost Parkway area with the landmarks, et cetera, and along the river. And tax credits have assisted in bringing that property back up to speed. So, what I have for your perusal, there's some other facts in this, but I will be submitting a resolution at our next meeting supporting state and federal historic preservation tax credit programs, and asking us to give our support for the continuation of those federal and state preservation credit programs. So I don't want to spring it on you today, but I did want to give you my thoughts about what I think we ought to do, and we can just make sure that's on the agenda, if you will, next week. Any
Yeah,
thoughts?
there's two other things that are in the tax reform that are being discussed that, we should be monitoring. One is the elimination of the tax-free nature of municipal bonds. That's one of the pay-fors. And, if we think about, you guys went out to New York and negotiated a rate for our bonds, and those are tax exempt, what the cost of that would have been if they would have been fully taxable bonds. It would have been, another 25% higher on the borrowing cost. So that's one thing we need to be monitoring, and the other thing in the tax reform is the deductibility of state and local taxes. So you can take that off your Schedule A if you're paying property taxes or income taxes. And those are two of the pay-fors that the administration is proposing. So, something to think about. And when they start talking about closing loopholes and reforming tax code, it's real when it comes back to us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've looked at that as well, and the fact is that if your tax bracket remains the same, if you are middle class or in there somewhere, so you say, okay, well, it doesn't, it's gonna help people, it's gonna keep me the same. The problem is that if your tax bracket remains the same, you can no longer deduct your state and local taxes. Your tax bracket really isn't the same,
Right.
because the net result is just more money out of your pocket. And Shane, as you know, banks buy a boatload of tax-free municipal bonds, and if that goes away, there are taxable municipals out there that people buy right now, but the fact is that that market would be, and those taxable municipals, you said a quarter, and I don't disagree with that, except there are some taxable municipals that are 1 or 2% higher than than the tax-free bonds out there. Obviously, people won't be buying those anymore, and that's significant, because if we have another project come down the road, either the city or the county, that's a big cost. You put another percent on $15 million over 30 years, and it becomes real money. So those are important, and I appreciate you bringing to our attention.
Yeah.
So maybe we ought to talk about a package support letter.
I just bring it up
Yeah.
because it was relevant to this conversation, but.
Yeah, the story tax credit kind of is made very small when you talk about these other things that could happen. Okay, we've talked about the sheriff's request today. Okay,
Do we need a motion on that, or is that?
I just gave it to you for your.
Or on the
On the
sheriff?
sheriff's.
Oh, did we
Yeah.
not?
She's got it.
We got that
Bring
as
it
part
up.
of the.
I can read it when I read the rest of them.
Gotcha, all right.
All right, well, let's go ahead and deal with the appropriations then, and the.
Did you request a letter for the drug court program? Did you want to mention that? Somebody, was it?
Virtue sent it to us.
Oh, Murchie sent that to us.
Okay, he did mention it to me, but I had forgot. The Sunday County Commissioners would like to express our support of the Sunday County Specialized Drug Court Program. This program provides services through Oriana House to offenders who are eligible to participate. The drug court will provide, now this letter is to whom? To whom it may concern.
He wrote that up and asked us to send it back to him, and he was gonna send it to, let's see if I have it.
Just didn't recognize it, so I figured I'd ask.
Okay, why don't you start with the other one so we can get a clarification on that then.
Okay, I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the Impaired Driving Enforcement Program Fund, putting $3,942.18 in place. We have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the Selected Traffic Enforcement Program Fund, putting $4,987.44 in place. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation to the SFY 17 Community Corrections Grant Fund, putting $709.01 into transfers out. I have an appropriation adjustment within the Sheriff's Community Correction Grant Fund, moving $597.84. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the TCAP fund, putting $22,485 into the contract services line.
Shane, you want that left out?
No, Stacy and I actually talked about this because we approved this is the mechanical part of
Right.
the process, so.
Okay.
I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation to the EMA fund, putting $1,500 into supplies. I have a resolution entering into contract with Alliance Incorporated for the Wolf Creek Log Jam and Selective Tree Removal Project, authorizing Mike Kirshner as president of the board to sign.
So I'm in charge of log jams.
You are. I have a resolution authorizing Seneca County Auditor to utilize credit card for expenditures. A resolution reappointing Bonnie Boroff to the Seneca Metropolitan Housing Authority, term expiring July 22nd, 2022. I have a resolution authorizing the TCAP contract between Seneca County Commissioners, Seneca Common Police Court, and the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. And I have a resolution providing for the issuance and sale of the $624,000 note in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay costs of installing energy conservation measures in and otherwise renovating, remodeling, equipping, and improving county buildings and facilities. This is the note that we had done back in 2013 internally with the treasurer's office. The initial amount was $910,000. We are doing the principal and interest payment, and so this is the amount we'd have to roll over for the note for 2018.
So this isn't a bond anticipation note. This is a note directly between the county
Yes.
and the treasurer?
Yep.
Okay.
John Larson does all of our titles, and that's how he
Okay.
words it, so.
Well, the
I wanted to explain
bond
what it was.
anticipation note
Yeah.
means that you're anticipating that you're eventually gonna finance it someplace else and
Nope.
pay them off. Okay.
No.
Existing debt, money borrowed from within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I have resolution authorizing memorandum of agreement for deposit of public funds, Old Fork Banking Company on behalf of Seneca County Treasurer, retroactive to October 16th, 2017. This is actually for clerk of courts.
Oh,
Sorry, the clerk of
what was
courts.
that?
And
Was that a bid process or was that just a continuation?
just a continuation.
Okay.
I have a resolution authorizing the fiscal year 17 Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Program, strategic planning for police and mental health collaboration, authorizing Michael Kirshner, President of the Board, to sign. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the court facilities integrated audio-visual systems, Seneca County Justice Center located at 103 East Market Street. The bids will be November 14th at 11 o'clock here at the Commissioner's office. And then I have the supplement to the permanent appropriations to the general fund with the amount of $43,522. This is at the request of the sheriff. And that's all I have.
Make a motion to accept.
Thank you.
Second?
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes. Okay, so, you want to bring us up to date on this then, the letter from our chief?
They needed it for a grant. that they
Oh,
will
they-
be submitting by, I think today.
Okay. Finance letter of support, Justice, Sunny County Opioid Task Force in partnership with Oriana is applying for a specialized drug grant. Okay, so Mayor Shu would like this letter signed by us in support of a grant submission he's making on behalf of the Opiate Task Force in partnership with Oriana House. I guess I need a separate motion for this.
I'll move that we support the efforts of applying for the grant to bring that money back to Seneca County.
Second?
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
And don't forget,
Okay.
today's one of the
Thank
talk
you.
about scheduling.
Oh yeah, scheduling. We have EOC training tomorrow, starting at 8 o'clock, and it'll probably run until probably 11:30, and then we go into Homeland Security and LEPC meetings. So
Where's that at?
out to the Public Safety Building. EOC is the Emergency Operations Center.
Right.
They have our web EOC, and then the Emergency Operations Center 101 class scheduled, so.
You went through the, what is the meeting called where we kind of simulate a situation?
The
Yeah,
tabletop.
yeah, we usually do tabletops or an actual physical.
You gonna do that tomorrow?
No, this is just the,
Okay,
this is
okay.
just the class. And,
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I know you two have sat through some of it. Shane is new to the whole process, so you might wanna. It's been
I'm
on the
figuring on being
agenda.
out there for the stuff that starts the LEPC stuff, is that, but do we need to be out there in the morning if we've been through it, or do not?
Well, I mean, that's up to you.
Okay.
You guys have been through it, but it's always good to refresh if you can get out there. Some of it, all of it.
Okay.
So just wanted to remind you that was
What-
tomorrow.
All right, how much of the staff is going?
I'm going.
Okay. All right. Okay, anything else brought before the board here this morning? It is time for open comments. Do you have any comments from the audience today?
Well, if nobody else is gonna speak, I have comments.
Pardon me?
I said if nobody else is gonna speak, I have comments.
Yes, sure.
Okay. I'm Chris Zeman, I live out in Adams Township, Republic. I'm in opposition to the wind farms that are proposed in the county. In particular, the county's support of the alternative energy zone. One of the big things I believe that the county has been overlooking is that they're losing control over the ability to put input on the taxes on those, okay? We're saying, you know, as an alternative energy zone, that we're only gonna allow $6,000 to $9,000, you know, that you're gonna allow to come in from these turbines by the the project developer. And that's only based off of production. This year, I mean, I'll say, it hasn't been that windy out there. So, and you're relying on that money, you know, for the schools, the township's relying on that money, the county's relying on that money. You know, meanwhile, we're passing up maybe $40,000 to $50,000 in property taxes. You know, plus, you guys are losing the ability to have any input on the taxes on these projects. Once we stick with this AEZ and Apex or whoever develops out here, that's it. You're bound by that alternative energy zone. You know, I've done some research. There's only about 10 counties in the state out of the 88 that have alternative energy zones. We're one of them, and so is Sandusky County. Van Wert and Hardin County had them, and they rescinded them. And strangely enough, it was after the project started going up in Paulding County, which, you know, that ended up being the guinea pig for the state. What I'm concerned about is our county is going to be a guinea pig now because of where we're located. And Apex is really pushing for Republic Wind. My friend and I, Doug Myers, we live right in the footprint of this project. You know, I'm planning to develop my property. I want to put an addition on my home. Thank God I'm not going to have the turbines really close to me. But, you know, if anybody else wants to build on their house, the state setbacks change, that's it. We lose the right to our property. And, you know, Apex can come in, and now they don't have to bother getting a waiver signed by the property owner, say that owns 5 acres, that they want to waive their setback rights. So once this law changes, they won't have to do that. And, you know, think just in the last decade and a half, how much is housing growing out in the rural areas, you know? I mean, I still see new houses popping up. If the turbines show up and some farmer signs off, you know, what's that gonna do to our housing market out here? What's that gonna do to home sales? What's that gonna do to the tax base? What's that gonna do with any new taxes we're gonna get on home development? You know, if I put on an addition to my house, I know that's gonna be tax generated for the county. What if I can't build that? You know, and the turbine manufacturers have a 1,300-foot safety setback that they recommend for their technicians. Ohio wants to lessen it and make it from the nearest occupied dwelling rather than the property line. And the turbines are getting bigger. I mean, I'm talking 800-foot turbines. And I've talked to one of the guys down at Apex. They're, you know, initially were planning 80 to 100 turbines ranging around 2.2 megawatts. He told me they would apply probably for the bigger turbines. So they may only go with half of those turbines. So property owners that have signed up that maybe you're going to expect to get, say, $20,000 a turbine, they may not even get the turbines now because they're going with fewer of them that produce more energy. And the county's going to get all their money up front for this thing. It's just like a new car. You buy a car, there's taxes on that new car, you know, it's great. But what happens after that car gets older? It starts to break, it's worth less, you're going to get less taxes on it. Same thing with the turbines. We're going to get all that money up front, and then after they age, what's stopping them from letting them go? Why would they care? They don't have to pay you guys, they don't have to pay us. Meanwhile, our county's been devastated. You can't build homes, you can't add on to homes. People that bought property can't develop that property, but these things are there for 30 years, if not longer. Sometimes they repower them, sometimes they don't. But, you know, I moved out here in 2009 with the expectation I was going to retire out here. I appreciate the tranquility and the quiet. I appreciate Seneca County. It's very scenic out where I live. And this is the stuff I'm hearing about. And I don't have a decision or say in this. The state does. But to some extent, I believe the commission does too. And if anything, you know, you guys were talking about property taxes and you know, everything. That's bring in some money. If we're gonna have to have these things out here, let's bring in some money. Bring it in for the schools. Bring it in for the roads. Because you're gonna lose out on something, and these things are gonna be there. So, you know, I think that's something that really needs to be considered. If you don't mind, I got some articles I'll share with you. If you don't mind if I come up here?
No,
Sure.
I printed these off now. This is from 2013, but it has to do with the Van Wert County Commissioners. Their decision to rescind the alternative energy zone. But I think it might, you know, behoove you guys to take the opportunity to contact the commissioners of Van Wert County, see what they've experienced. I don't know if you've traveled out in those counties at all to see what the wind industry has done out there. You know, a lot of people probably like them. You know, the farmers, they're making money on them. I can't blame them. You know, and I was over at the county records office yesterday doing some research just on Republic Wind, and there was at least 10 property owners that were out of state that own property out in Adams Township or Thompson's Township. One group was a farming industry. It could have been foreign investors for all I know. In Omaha, Nebraska, there were property owners in New York, Cincinnati, Columbus, Toledo, Fremont. You know, that's a no-brainer for them. Why wouldn't you sign up your property? You inherited it, but they don't have to look at it. They don't have homes there. They're leasing it for farming. But you know what? These people are making decisions on everybody else's lives in the county. They're making decisions on my home, his home, and they don't even live there. And that disturbs me. So, you know, and I'm talking a lot of acreage. You know, I saw that one company in Omaha had like 100 and some acres. They could be foreign investors for all we know. So, and Apex is going to walk away with a pretty sweet deal, in my opinion, with that AEZ. So, I mean, we need to look at this, because once Republic Wind gets fired up, and that's the first one they're predicting, they've got about 3 more after that, and they're going to start heading towards the lake. And you know how property value increases as you get closer to the lake. And I see some really nice homes out there going out past State Route 4, heading northeast. And I don't know about you, but if I put up a $250,000 home and some farmer signed off his property, I'd be pretty ticked. So, you know, I think this is something we really need to sit down and talk about, think about, because I'm seeing a lot of media reports on it. Mr. Thomas, I know you were participating in that. I understand it. But, you know, there's another side to it too, and I believe it demands some research, so.
Okay, appreciate your
problem. I think-
opinion. Anything else?
No, sir, not this time.
Okay. All right.
Doug Myers, I live in Thompson Township, Bellevue. I just want to echo his sentiments, you know, I live out there and I've been out there since 2001. And I'm, like he said, I'm gonna be right in the middle of these things. And you know, there are positives, but I think you also need to look at the negatives. You know, if they do fall into disrepair or, you know, they outlive their usefulness, you know, is the company required to take them down? If the company goes belly up, I mean, you're gonna be stuck with them out there. And like I said, it's just, I got 2 kids, and it's nice and quiet out there, you know, we got lots of room to expand and grow and everything. And said if once these things come in, I mean, that could all change. You know, like I said, it just, I think we really need to look at the positives as well as the negatives before anything rash happens. So, but that's all I got.
Thank you, Doug. Yes, Mr. Zach.
So I wanted to provide the county an update, quarterly update on what we're doing at SIDEC. We try to do this 4 times a year. And we had Speaker Rosenberger in here the other day, and so there really wasn't an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to try to do that relatively quickly for you today. First of all, you know, we couldn't do anything that we do without the support of our public and private partners. We're a public-private partnership, and we really appreciate what the county does in its way of support for us. We think the numbers this year are looking pretty good. We had a goal to see kind of 80 projects developed through the county, and a project is anybody that's investing in their business, someone who's starting a business, someone who's buying equipment, those kinds of things. And we've been able to track 80 projects so far this year, north of $40 million in announced investment and 110 new jobs. We were looking for at least 40 million and at least 150 jobs, and I think we'll get to the 150 jobs by the end of the year, because I want to tell you that our pipeline of projects is very, very full. Throughout the county, we have at least 40 additional projects in the pipeline. There are a number of manufacturing industrial projects that are looking potentially to finalize their decision to grow and expand and locate, and in healthcare and education, also retail, which of course from a sales tax perspective is very, very important, also looks to be announcing. Some of the projects in the last quarter that I thought were particularly exciting, just want to kind of highlight in a summary way, the $20 million announcement of American Defined Center and the creation of 25 jobs. And just to reiterate, last time one of our automotive suppliers committed to 25 jobs, it ended up being 100 jobs, and so this is a very conservative estimate over 3 years, and so we are very excited about that. We had $2.5 million acquisition and expansion announcement for Oseco, a company that's been in the community a long, long time, doing tank equipment for the wastewater industry, for the oil, petroleum, gas industry. So we're excited about that. They're going to almost double the number of employees that they have there. On the retail side, we've seen some movement at the mall. First signs of life, so to speak. $2.3 million investment announced. And over on West Market Street, kind of an older center was purchased, and business is going to go in there, so kind of excited about that. $2 million in infrastructure announced, kind of out near the fairgrounds, 224, and that site across from the hospital was to develop. There are a number of projects looking to go in there, but we're able to get a couple $100,000 from the state through the Transportation Improvement District that the county created, and appreciate that as well. So we're excited about that. And last but not least, one of my many hats is executive director of the Sandusky County, Seneca County City and Port Authority, and we're investing in $1.6 million in resurfacing a whole rail line, new ties in both counties, Seneca and Sandusky. So I think it's been kind of, that's always makes me feel warm and fuzzy when we have investment and jobs and those kinds of things. Want to tell you that on some of our big picture initiatives that take a significant amount of time, we're very active in making progress on the workforce development front. We continue to work with school district superintendents and introduce them to businesses, and we're working on creating a countywide business advisory council, which we're hoping to have done by the end of November, which would involve several superintendents of the K-12 system, plus a number of other partners, Ohio Community Jobs, Seneca County, and many others. Kind of be a part of that, so very excited about that. We continue to work on our retention expansion effort, the community branding, is on track to be done by the end of the year, launched. I think we're gonna have a meeting by the end of the month. Met with Commissioner Kirschner, and so we'll see, have a kind of larger stakeholder group, kind of see where we're at, but I'm excited where we're at. Everybody who's kind of begin to see where it's going, I think it'll be something that not only can the county apply and adapt as it would see fit, but also townships and villages. So I think it's something that could be adapted throughout the county to the extent that folks would want to do that. Excited about that. We continue to work from a state advocacy standpoint. We work with Senator Burke, work with Representative Reineke. We have a state capital budget coming up. There's never a guarantee that you're going to be able to solicit funds, but you know, Representative Reineke at Speaker Rosenberg and we're pitching ideas for projects, and so we're looking to submit along with other communities projects that we hope will bring funds back to the county. So that's the idea. So excited about that. We continue to work very actively in the wind area. We are extremely pro-wind. We have done a lot of research. I'll be testifying tomorrow in the House. And I'm always open to new information. When I do the fiscal impact analysis also with projects outside the state of Ohio, where Apex and other organizations have done it, any potential revenue that will be generated from additional housing development, it pales in comparison to the money that this will generate. And without the alternative energy zone, you're not going to get the development. Over 20 years, the $400 million Apex project, which will be more investment than the county's had since I started here in 2014, will generate between the landowners, the county, the schools, which will never have an industrial park and can't get this kind of revenue, $93 million. And those kind of numbers aren't numbers coming out of the air. Although we're very open to see where projects haven't happened and haven't delivered. The projects that we've researched in other areas of the state have delivered on that kind of promise of that revenue. And that makes a tremendous difference because we look at the county, it goes into things like workforce development, it goes into things like child support, and all those services need to be provided. What I've told the people that I've talked to is if someone can produce $93 million through any kind of other projects, development, et cetera, I'm very open. The other thing about residential development is it generates taxes, but it always takes more in services, in terms of EMS, fire, schools, et cetera, than it provides. And so industrial commercial development is the only development that produces a positive net effect in terms of providing without, wind turbines take no EMS services. Wind turbines don't have kids that go to schools. Wind turbines don't do anything except sit there and generate revenue. So from my perspective, I am very open to anyone from the public or anyone wanting to sit down with me and show me the numbers of how, from a fiscal standpoint, this isn't the best thing that could happen. The other thing that I get passionate about is about trying to support the rural areas of the county. We're not going to go up to that neck of the woods. We're not going to be able to give those school districts an industrial park. We're not going to be able to get those school districts other kinds of opportunities and revenue. And I think that when we've looked at other areas of the country and other projects, the farmers that are in favor of this are very large and significant, and we found that these landowner payments sustain family farming that hasn't been around, that wouldn't have been able to otherwise sustain. And that's important because agribusiness is one of our 4 targeted areas, agribusiness and food processing. And so we're very passionate about making sure we can support the rural areas of the county and everyone in the county. And so, we do a lot of work in Tiffin, we do some work out in Fostoria, we're in certain areas, but this is an opportunity to help the rural townships, to help the county in general. So we get pretty passionate about it. But always open to dissenting views. When you look at public policy, there's always going to be a case. If you put up a new factory, there's some stuff that goes in the air. The question is and there's going to be some additional stress on the road. So what's the pro and the con? So I very much respect folks that don't want to see it or don't want to have it around. But I think from a public policy standpoint, what we try to look at is, we believe that the needs of the many, and that's the thousands of kids in the school district, the thousands of residents in Seneca County, the huge number of landowners that are in support, outweigh the few that don't want to look at it. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with being against it and not wanting to see it. But I would argue that from an economic development perspective, it's an incredibly important thing. And this project, this Republic Wind project, is, if the setbacks change, pretty much for sure. So I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to be submitting written testimony and be there tomorrow. So giving a little extra comments about the wind, given the engaged, concerned citizens here. The other thing I would say is so the next thing I would update you on is from a marketing and communications perspective. We are doing a lot in terms of communicating the good things going on in Seneca County. We've reached more than, this year so far through our various means, more than 750,000 people with good news that's going on. We think that's very important. We have impressions just in Facebook alone, 1.3 million. So we've done 19 press releases thus far this year with more than 50 articles going out there. And excited about that. We also, the last item I would update you on, the Chamber's annual meeting is going to be coming up. And so I would, if you can attend that, that would be great. I'm going to Downtown Revitalization Conference and the Statewide Economic Development Conference. So I serve on the board and the executive committee of the Ohio Economic Development Association, which gives me an opportunity to interact with people at the highest levels of Jobs Ohio, people at the highest levels of the Ohio Department of Development Services Agency, the Ohio Department of Transportation, others. I'm going to be very active in the next 3 days. I'll be out Wednesday, Thursday, and half of Friday working on that. And so I'm very, very excited about that we get to have Seneca County in the mix as things are getting discussed, policy decisions are getting made. So with that, I think we have great support from organizations like the county and the private sector. We have a great team at SIDEC that I think continues to grow and do well. We're seeing great results. We're getting some great publicity and traction, not only here, but whether it's TV in Northwest Ohio and then even beyond that, we're starting to get a lot of great traction. And I think we have a lot of great momentum. So we're really excited about what I call the race to the end of the year as we look to finish up a lot of items in our scope of work. I would say as the last thing is we have a survey where all of our partners kind of can give us feedback leading into the strategic retreat that'll take place. I've sent out an email a couple times. So would love to have all three commissioners kind of give us your feedback, your rating, what we can do better, what you think that, you'd like to see in 2018 as a priority. The average time it takes to do that is 5 minutes. If you have any problems with the link or anything like that, let me know. With that, I'll kind of close and see if there are any questions or concerns or anything you want to talk about right now.
David, 93 million, let's go back to the win one
Yep.
second. 93 million is a big number. Break that down for me. Where do you come up with $93 million?
So roughly, and I could submit it, roughly half / more than half goes to the schools. So the biggest chunk goes to the school district. The second biggest winner, or combined, you have the county and then the townships. So it's really those three.
Okay, I guess I didn't ask the question correctly. How do they generate $93 million in tax revenue?
Okay, so it's over a 20-year time frame.
Okay, I got it.
And it's kind of like with, it's an agreement that this is what they're going to pay.
So, I mean, the gentleman talked about most of the money being up front and then some of it in the future, maybe none of it in the future. But so over 20 years, to generate, rounded to 100 million, to generate $5 million a year. Will it be a steady $5 million a year in your research, or?
Yeah, and I'll get you the specific details
Okay.
following the meeting, but yeah.
Okay,
So, or the pipelines, it's a high water mark at the first year.
right.
The wind, it's straight line across the
Okay.
term.
I just wanted to make sure, and I understood when we talked about, $93 million is a huge number.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's $5
There are
million.
years in
bucks.
which we
I mean,
don't have $93 million in investment.
County's budget is $17 million a year. That's a third of that, for crying out
Yeah,
loud, so. All right.
it's significant.
Okay, well, also, tell me more about the mall. What's gonna happen out there? You kind of skipped over that quickly. Are we talking about taking that property down? Are we talking about new retail?
Yeah, so we
development?
had kind of an announcement of a new car wash that's gonna go up
Yeah,
there.
I
but
saw
it's-
that on the outline.
Right, and there's other things that percolate, but nothing's public yet.
Okay, and my favorite subject.
But I would expect we will
can't
have an
tell us
announcement
anything.
before
Yeah,
the
you
end. I'm hopeful we'll have more announcements before the end of the year.
And how's the brewery and the bourbon bar coming?
Bourbon Bar's great, so I think November 11th or so, am I right? I just
knew
saw
it
it
first
today.
about this.
They're gonna have the grand opening. So the Renaissance at Tiffin, I was in it, amazing. It's gonna be 3 levels.
Yeah, it is something.
It is something else, and again,
There's
I think it's
nothing off
November
the
11th. I
alley
just
back.
tweeted out while I was here. So I think it's November 11th, but it's either the 8th or the 11th. I think it's the 11th for kind of the.
So if you start seeing a change in the kind of decisions we're making from November 11th, where would you go?
We've got our own entrance.
Yeah, hey, the county can't move its location. I've seen it happen, so, yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes,
I have
there's
a
a surprise.
question. It's probably more for Holly. Any update on the terrazzo flooring issue at the Justice Center?
A point of clarification I'll make on it, and I know nothing, I've had no discussion since that meeting, but in some of the stories afterwards, and that wasn't necessarily your paper, but it indicated as if the terrazzo floor was agreed upon and now they're not gonna do it. That is what happened, but it was an additional offer that they made to us. They came forward and said, hey, we weren't planning on terrazzo floor. That company came forward and said, hey, we'll do this for you for, you know, the publicity that we're putting it in, essentially. How I'll sum it up. And they were asking us what we wanted wording to be in the flooring. So we had a lot of discussion on that. So, but their schedule of such was that they don't have time to do it with the construction schedule to make it happen. It kind of looked like we put this service need out there and now we don't have a company doing it. It was an add-on to us at no cost.
So you have the option of just going back to the original?
So we're just going back to the original floor. We aren't going to, you know, go out and seek somebody to do that. If Judge Schuff had any communications with the company to ask the how and the where, is there any wiggle room on them still being able to do that? I don't know that conversation, but it kind of read as if this is a service we're supposed to be getting, what do you mean they're just not gonna do it? It was an add-on
Right.
that they were doing for us, you know.
And this was a lot more positive, there's a lot more positive to this than there is anything else. These folks, you know, wanted to do it and
But they're
couldn't
busy.
fit it in, and God bless them for wanting to do that. It still would be nice to figure out a way, you know, to get them to lay this floor and actually put the name of the Justice Center embedded in the floor. I mean, it would be really a pretty area. So hopefully we can find a way to still get it done at no cost to the taxpayers.
Well, it sounded to me at the last Justice Center meeting that one of the construction management people were gonna touch base again with that fella and see if there still wasn't something that could be worked out. And so what you're telling me, you don't have any other
I
further
don't-
information at this point?
I don't have an update. Chad was gonna follow up and I think Judge Schuff was going to ask some questions too. Because it
Okay.
would be a great addition, but again, it was at no cost to us that they were offering that.
And one of the judges, I think, said, well, gee, trying to find somebody else at this point in time to do it are pretty slim, you know, on such short notice. So it sounded to me like everything kind of hinged on whether further discussions with this firm or person were pretty much the only alternatives, other than now you say going back to the original plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for setting me straight on that. It may have been one of my articles
I don't know
that
what your
might
eyes
have
remember
given that
seeing it.
impression. I don't remember writing it that way, but certainly somebody might have gotten that impression that,
Yeah.
you know, that, oh, you're right, that, oh gee, you know, now this company's letting us down. It's, you know, they came in and offered to do it, and maybe now they just can't, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we come under the, you know, category, no good deed goes unpunished if we make them look bad, because it was a real
They tried hard,
positive thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
positive.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from anyone? 10:53, we are adjourned.